What up, YouTube? Big Louie's Coach Review back again, and today we're here to have a little discussion on the mechanical tube mods that I own, that I cherish, okay? And out of the ones I cherish, I'm going to show you the hardest hitting one out of all of them that I feel, okay? This is based on my experience, on what I feel is the hardest hitting mod I've ever owned. The one mod that was able to handle anything I threw at it, okay? But we're going to go through all of them, and we're going to take a look at all of them. And, opinions are going to differ with certain people, but this is just my opinion because people ask me on a normal, everyday, regular basis, dude, what's the hardest hitting mod? Well, for me, going through so many mechanical tube mods and owning so many, there's really no need to own the amount that I own, really. So the stock that I currently have on mechanical mods, well, it's a decent stock, okay? And I give out a lot of mechanical tube mods. There's people out there they'll just get a surprise mech mod from me. Like Sean. Sean, another vape name on Instagram. That's his name. Another _vape _name. I've been talking to him on Instagram back and forth, blah, blah. Sent him some juice because he's going through some hard times right now and everything. So I sent him some juice and I gave him a little surprise. I threw in one of my VCM copper mechanical mods. I just threw it his way because they don't make it anymore. And it's a hard to find. Well, it's not a hard to find, but there's a lot of them out there, but they don't make them anymore, which makes it somewhat valuable. So he was going through hard times, and I sent it to him. I just snuck it in the box, and I was like, and then he got it. He was like, what the fuck? So he had a surprise mod for me. So that was cool. It was nice to brighten up his day, right? Now, as far as what I have here, this is the collection that I cherish the most, that I will probably never give these away, okay? Depending on the situation, but I will probably just never give these away because this is my personal collection. I'll give out, I'll give somebody, I don't know, a regulated device over a mechanical tube mod that I cherish. It would have to be somebody really special that I'm just giving somebody one of these devices in my collection. Okay. Now, with that being said, let's start off with one of them, okay? This is my Switch version 2 brass, okay? I'm going to try and change the focus every time I do this, but this is my Switch version 2 hybrid brass mod, okay? I picked this up when I was over in New Orleans. I hung out at the Switch mod booth, Switch Mod USA guys. Hung out at their booth. I was checking out their mods. I was like, oh yeah, I had a Switch V1. And the Switch V1, the tubes were good. The RDAs were great. But I didn't like the spring in the button. It was a little harsh and you had to push your finger high up in there. So I wasn't a huge fan of the mechanical mod. But when they came out with these, I really, really liked these. So I got it in a brass because I feel brass to me is, for me, for what I do, I like brass. I like the feel of it, the smell of it, everything. I just appreciate brass, especially naval brass, okay? And this has a nice, beefy, thick copper contact. So this is a very nice, hard-hitting tube mod by the Switch mod, okay? So I like Switch mods. Good job on this. It is a favorite of mine, and I still rock it to this day. And you can see that I do keep well care of it because it is not patinaed, and probably all these mods here, I take very well care of them. It's a little hard to keep up with the copper mods, but because they patina very quickly versus brass, it's gradually patinas, naturally. But I love brass. So let's see. All right, so that was one mod, okay? My second mod that I like a lot is the Rogue mod, okay? Now, this is no particular order or anything like that. This is just based in my collection. This is the Rogue mod or Rogue USA mods, okay? It's a hybrid. It's got a nice button. It's got a great spring on the inside. That spring, it's that surgical plastic silicone something spring that it reduces the amount of like voltage drop, and yet it doesn't give you a shock in the finger. But the only way to avoid the shock 100% is by cleaning your threads on that mechanical mod. So there is a little upkeep on that mechanical mod where you have to always be sure your threads are clean and you have good conductivity in that to avoid a hot button. Okay. Now, but that's pretty much general maintenance on all mechanical mods. But I seem to notice on that one every now and then, if I don't keep my threads clean, the conductivity will suffer slightly and the battery will get a little hot. Okay, so always keep your threads clean on it. It's very simple. Take a little rubbing alcohol on a toothbrush, clean your threads, blow on it, then use a little 3-in-1 oil. I use this on all my tube mods. I use 3-in-1 oil on the threads. Put a tiny drop or two. Move your switch back and forth in there, and it'll fucking function like the best fucking mod you'll ever have. Okay. Another mod I got is the Cloud Kicker Society by Aria Built. This was released by Beyond Vape. It's 24 karat gold plated. It's really nice. It's a hybrid. It's got a very soft spring in the button. And this I would use not for cloud chasing in actuality. I would use this for mainly if I'm going to just kind of be mellow at a 0.35 or a 0.25. 0.25 is mellow for me, you know. So based on the way I vape, 0.25 is kind of mellow. So I'll be at 0.25, 0.30 with this mechanical tube mod. It's very narrow in diameter, and it looks great with the Cloud Kicker Society RDA that goes up top, which I got a review up and coming on their latest one. And I'm going to use it with this mod. Okay, great mechanical tube mod. Now, this has been a favorite for like weeks for me. This is the VCM mod, right? It's a copper mod that's Cerakoted with black with red splatter. It's got a brass button on the bottom with a silver-plated copper button, silver-plated copper contact on the inside. But it is a copper, and I do appreciate the copper on here simply because it is Cerakoted and it doesn't patina off onto my fingers. So there's no green hands or green palms or smelly copper hands. So I do love this VCM mod a whole bunch. This was also limited, so there weren't a lot of runs on this one, okay? Which that is also a great mechanical mod. Another oldie but goodie is the Oros, right? This is the Oros V2 by Aria Built. Change focus so you can see this. Okay, this is the Oros V2 Authentic by Aria Built. It's a copper workhorse. It is a fucking son of a bitch, this thing. It fires like a motherfucker. And it does work very, very well. It's very, very conductive. And at the time when I owned this, I thought this was the best tube mod out there, you know. But it is a great tube mod. It's got a nice locking switch on it for the lock. It is it's not hybrid. It does have a pin on here. So it does have a pin situation, but the pin was kind of small. And I was always wondering about, you know, the firing pin, why they made it so small. But Aria Built makes good products. I just was a little disappointed with the copper contact pin being so small. I thought maybe this could have used a beefier contact pin. But that's just my opinion, okay? So that's a great tube mod as well. Then we come to the Rig mods, okay? Rig mods, they make really good devices. The Rig, hands down, they make great devices, especially in brass. Their brass mechanical tube mods, everything I put on it hits like a motherfucker, okay? They also have an RDA that fits into their tube mods as well. This is the Roughneck version 2. The Roughneck version 2 is a great RDA. The posts tend to be a little annoying for me because the center post is a little higher and the outer posts are lower, so your coils are kind of like at an angle. That's the only thing I don't like about this RDA, which I don't use it often based on that reason. They have another Addy out called the Dually, which I haven't bought because A, I haven't found it anywhere, and B, I haven't had that much of an interest in RDAs lately. The only ones I like are basically, I like the torpedo deck and I like the battle deck. But the battle deck from Comp Life and the torpedo deck from AV Life. So, I like those decks. They're 20 millimeter in diameter, but they fire incredibly. Like the conductivity on them is ridiculous. And I could put any of my AV caps on any of them and they work really well, or my Comp Life caps as well. Okay. So, but as far as RDAs, I rarely go RDA shopping anymore, and pretty much the battle deck and the torpedo are the only ones I buy as far as rebuildable dripping atomizers. But this one, the Roughneck V2, it goes with the rig mods and it fits into their threading, which it sits and looks real nice. It just goes, so it matches and it goes. Now, I own a stainless steel rig. This is number 006. Yeah, this is 006 stainless steel. It's got a decent contact down in it. You can't see the contact in it now, but it doesn't matter. It's a copper contact down below. Fires decently, but this tube mod, I cannot fire too low on it because I do get a hot button on this device. Okay, so this one I usually generally try to stay in a 0.25 and above. That's it. Just for chill, relaxing vaping, I would use this. Okay. Now, my favorite, like I said, of the rigs is the brass. I own two of them. Okay, one is number 0060. Okay, and the other one is 0223, which has sentimental value to me, which I've said in a video in the past. So, but they fire like a dream, these mods. They fire beautifully. Okay, so you can see I got number 223 and 60. Okay, and they're both in brass, and I cherish these two. I definitely cherish them because I've used them for a long period of time. They're very, very conductive. They work very, very well, and they're both hybrid, and they look great when you use the Roughneck V2. It just fits on it perfectly. This is how it looks with the Roughneck V2. Now, my brass on here has patinaed, but my tube mod itself has not, because I do take good care of my tube mods. I do keep them clean, and I do keep them nice, okay? My absolute favorite of the rig line has to be the Rig version 1 with the Roughneck version 1. Absolute favorite. Hands down, hardest hitting rig mod out there. I mean, this is better than their copper mods, better than everything else. This is a brass one, okay, and you can see it's number 223. They were nice enough to make this one for me. They engraved my name, Big Lou, and you can see there's angel wings with a halo on there, because this has a significant meaning to me based on a death in a family. So it's, it really does mean a lot to me that they went ahead and sent me this device free of charge. I didn't even pay for it. They sent it to me. And, they really liked the review I did on their product. They didn't ask me to review their product, but I did the review on their product. They really liked it. So they went ahead and they sent me this device as a thank you. And I was just like blown away. I was like, wow, this is just incredible. And they liked the story that I had behind the 223 serial number on here. So, they were real happy to know about that. And that's it from my rig collection. Okay. Now, I also own continuous currents. Okay. I've got my brass continuous current. This is a Manhattan version 2. It's a hybrid. It's a great, great brass mechanical tube mod. They also had the Warhead RDA that fit on here. The only thing I didn't like about the Warhead is that the outer airflow control would get really hot. And, you go to put your mouth on it and your lips would fucking burn on it. So I was just like, I wasn't too keen on that. So I mainly just used this tube mod with, just normal RDAs, basically. Just, standard RDAs that you can get from any company, basically. So I usually put other company RDAs on here, and I don't use this in the hybrid mode with the Warhead version 1. It's nothing against Kyle Kruger or anything like that. I do love the Manhattan version 2. It's a great brass mod. I also have it in aluminum, which this was sent to me by J Mark. He burnt in a acid etched BLECR for Big Lou East Coast Review. And down in a button, he put the word Crew, CREW, which I thought was cool. And then he signed it with his name as well, acid etched. It's a nice aluminum mod. I'm going to have a video on how to properly care for aluminum mods because they oxidize very quickly, especially in tube mods. And I'm going to have a video up and coming on that as well, so just stay tuned for that. But the continuous currents, they got great magnets, great tubes. They fire very well. I like them a lot. Now, this I also bought in New Orleans at ECC New Orleans. This is the Sub-Zero Shorty competition mod. Okay, it's all copper, and what I love about it, it is 100% absolutely seamless. It's just seamless, like it's just beautiful. It's like the machining on here when they did the machining. It's just, I don't feel like sometimes when I got to take this thing apart, I forget where to put my hands and where I have to unscrew it. It's got a really intricate, interesting firing button. When you put batteries in here, they go battery down to the button. Okay. Now, a lot of people are just like, dude, why are you putting your positive upside down? It's supposed to, well, a lot of mods, I point the positive point of the battery to wherever the tube mod vents. So that requires sometimes me putting the battery in upside down just to clear the air on that. So a lot of people are just like, why'd you put your battery in upside down? Well, it could work either way. It doesn't matter. But I like pointing the positive end of the battery where it's going to vent. If in this situation, if it's going to vent, I like to point it in a direction where it's supposed to vent on the tube. So that answers that question. This has Delrin on the bottom. So the button on here never gets hot. You could put the lowest of lowest fucking builds on here. You could really push your battery limits. Doesn't mean it's safer, but you could really push your fucking battery limits. And if in the event it was going to vent, it would vent through your bottom Delrin button, which would suck because this is such a nice device. I wouldn't want it to vent. I wouldn't want to destroy this. So I usually do my builds on here at 0.10 ohms. And above. So I do 0.10, 0.15, 0.20. That's it. I don't go below that because it does have a tendency to get very hot. It's a very thick copper and it just works really well. It's very responsive and the conductivity on this is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay. Now this collection, the next collection that I have is either going to annoy some people because some people, they're just like, oh, fuck this company, blah, 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 and it's not. Or whatever the case is. But I own a lot of their devices simply because I love their devices. I think the quality is there. They're very conductive. And I like the design, the style, the sleekness, and the lifestyle behind it. Now, some of you have noticed recently I've done the videos on my AV M2s, okay, on wet sanding them, okay. I wet sanded them and did some, my own little designs to the, this is the Hubble version 1. I wet sanded that and I took it down to like a shiny aluminum, which pretty much looks like a chrome at this point. It looks like a shiny chrome. So that's what I've been doing with my aluminum mods lately. I've been using the Easy Off oven cleaner, or I've been wet sanding them to this beautiful perfection, and they just look like mirrors. So they're beautiful. Okay, the aluminum mods are very lightweight, but they do fire. They do fucking fire, and they can handle builds. Let me tell you, I put some pretty low builds on here, and they handle them. They definitely chuck. For aluminum mods, they're definitely fucking chucking. They're doing their job. Okay, and aluminum's lightweight. And I like that. And I like the style, the look, and the whole 9 of them. So these are my AV M2s in aluminum, okay? Great mechanical tube mods, all right? Now, I have the big bastard fucking holy shit $400 fucking tube mod from them, and that's the Shock and Awe. This is the brass Shock and Awe. This one is just fucking beautiful. This is a batch 3, okay? Serial number 33. Okay, serial number 33 of batch 3. Okay, I liked how it was 333 for me. Okay, so it's an excellent condition, no scratches, no dings, no nothing. Majority of these mods have no dings or no scratches. I really upkeep my tube mods. I keep them looking perfect. Okay, it's got the beefy magnets that are usually in certain mods, like these big ass magnets right here, these big ones, these huge fucking AV magnets. It's got double. It's 2 and 2 of those big ass magnets. It's insane to throw on this thing. It's a little stiff, but holy shit, you put a 20 millimeter RDA on here with a 22 millimeter cap. It looks fucking great. It looks like a bullet, like a 60 caliber shell. That's what it looks like. It looks like a 60 caliber shell. Beautiful fucking mod. Fires like a beast. That's a hard hitting mod right there. That shock and awe, I always thought to be like the hardest hitting mod, but believe it or not, there's still a mod that I still believe is the hardest hitting mod I've ever owned. And we're getting to it. Okay. Now, this is my Able mod, my brass Able mod by AV. And this mod was the one that made me switch like a year or so ago from clones to authentics. This mod was pretty much the turning point for me where I said, you know what? This is a nice mod. You know, I mean, the rig mods, they're authentic as well. Everything I have here is authentic, and I've had other authentics, but this is the one that really made me appreciate the design factor and the hard hitting factor. It does hit very hard. Okay, any build I put on it, I never get a hot button. Never once have I ever gotten a hot button with these fucking mods. I like the design factor. You can customize them, put a different top, a different bottom, different switches, different sleeves. You can do so much to this. It's just a fully customizable mod, and that's what I like about it. The customizability and the fact that it doesn't get hot and it handles anything I throw at it, right? I also have it in copper, okay? This is with my Killer Custom Clouds sleeve on it. The guy's out of Connecticut. Does awesome patina jobs on sleeves. Awesome clear coats. Does a really good job. This is my copper version. I wet sanded my button down. I took the knurling off, and I took off the AV logo on it because I like the mirror finish on the bottom button. It's very smooth. So this one I've done my own little customizations to it, you know, just to make it to my liking, you know. And I'm very happy with the outcome on this tube mod, okay? To me, it looks great. I love it. To me, I think that looks dope, right? Customizable, you know, I like that. Next up in the collection is my optic, okay? This I'd gotten from Jake Schneider, the guy who I said recently in one of my videos is not one of the biggest Crew Juice supporters. He is a big Crew supporter. I actually got this mod from him. I traded up with him. I traded out an Activist Batch 1 number 80 by AV. I traded that mod for this one because I really love this one. And the top cap on here is frozen on here. It's never coming off. I can't get it off. Okay, so yeah, so this is one of my favorite copper tube mods. It's a great copper tube mod. It looks like a scope that goes on a rifle. Okay, very nice, hard hitting copper tube mod. Another AV copper tube mod is my M1. Now this one I like a whole lot. I just picked it up recently. It's the Modmen Edition copper tube mod. Okay, so I'm going to show you right here. You can see in there you got the Modmen logo right there. Okay, this one has patinaed a bit. I got to clean it up again. You can see my fingerprints are all over it. But this is another hard-hitting copper tube mod from Amerivape. Great product. Right? Very nice product. Hits really well. Now, recently I picked up the Cotton Candy stackable aluminum tube mod by AV. This hits really hard as well. It is a series build you have to put in here, so I have huge fucking coils I put in here. Gigantic fucking coils that are wrapped like 14 to 18 times, okay? So you got to put gigantic coils in here, all right? So that's what I've been doing, and I've been using straight Kanthal instead of low resistance wire. I've been using straight Kanthal because it doesn't get, I'm using series. I'm at 8.4 volts. Even with voltage drop on this thing, you're roughly about 8.2 volts, okay, in series and stacked. And a lot of people feel this is unsafe. I gotta admit, sometimes, I do put it up to my face. I'm like, I'm like, it's hot. The builds are hot. The fucking vape is insanely hot. But really, really good vape to have. Really good device to have. I believe the cotton candy stackable Abels are 1 of 20. So this is 1 of 20. So I'm 1 of 20 people that own this mod. Nobody else owns it. So there's 20 people out there that own it, and that's it. So that actually is probably going to retain some good monetary value to it. But my ultimate best, I feel, is the best tube mod I've ever owned. Manhattan version 1 comp. Okay, this is a Manhattan version 1 comp series. It's got a Statue of Liberty cap up top. It was their Manhattan Statue of Liberty cap. And this fucking thing, this is the one that, a lot of reviewers out there said this was a pipe bomb, okay? And they felt that it didn't vent well because there's no room or air or vent holes or anything like that. Then a guy by the name of Chuff, who came out with the Chuff cap, had tested by putting a fitting on here. By taking out the top pin, he put a fitting on there, and he was blowing high pressure air through the tube mod, and it was passing through the switch. And he did it all different pressures, and just to show people that if it did vent, it would vent safely. So what he did was he took his tube mod with his hose and his air pressurizer fucking tube, and he stuck the mod in a fish tank just to show you that air was passing through it at all different pressures, at very low pressures and very high pressures. So the statement saying this is a pipe bomb was completely incorrect, was completely false. It just wasn't understood that this thing does vent well, and it does vent properly. So I want to thank Chuff out there for the guy who invented the Chuff caps. Whenever you hear, oh man, it's got a Chuff cap, or this device has a Chuff-styled cap, Chuff is the guy who made the Chuff cap, the original Chuff cap that went on all these RDAs today. And all these companies today, they say Chuff-like, which I kind of feel bad for Chuff, because they should just buy Chuff caps and put it on their RDAs. Instead of saying it's a Chuff-like cap, they could just say it's a Chuff-styled cap, or it's a Chuff cap. That's it. I would feel kind of robbed if I designed the Chuff cap and everybody else is doing Chuff-like caps. You know what I mean? So Chuff is a real great guy, awesome guy, and I really do appreciate him doing that video, because it made me, after seeing that video, it made me want to buy a Manhattan. And this thing, it hits so hard. Like, it's the hard. And when you want to ask me what's the hardest hitting mod out there to get, it's this one. This is the hardest hitting mod I've ever owned. Anything I put on it, it handles it. It fucking throws out the power. I like this one better than their copper ones. And copper is supposed to be more conductive. But for some reason, these version 1 authentic AV Manhattan ones, hardest hitting ones. Hardest hitting fucking tube mod out there. And I'll say that. I don't give a shit. I don't care whose feelings I hurt, whose devices I reviewed, or whatever the case is. To me, personally, I feel that's the hardest hitting one I've ever had. Harder than all my copper mods. All right, this is an 8.2 volt with voltage drop stacked series mod. So that hits hard because it's at 8.4 volts. But, with voltage drop and a whole 9 yards, this always handles it. It gets a little warm, but not hot. It never gets hot on me, this tube. It never gets to a point where I can't hold it, okay? It always gets slightly warm. And I could chain vape the fuck out of anything that goes on here. And I feel 100% confident using it every single time. Okay? The best mod I've ever owned was that Manhattan version 1 competition mod, and that's it. They're not serialized. They don't have serial numbers. I don't know what batch it came out of, whatever the case is. And I didn't originally buy that. I traded my friend Pugchop for it, because I've had the clone versions. I've had the Fuhattons, and I had all the other clone versions. all the Skyline series clones. I had them all, and they all hit shitty. You know, they all got hot on me, and I was like, I really want a good Manhattan. And at the time, I didn't have the money, or I didn't see the logic in spending $200 or $200 plus for a tube mod. But after owning this Manhattan version 1, I gotta say, it fucking handles anything. Best fucking tube mod I've ever owned. And that's it. So you've seen my collection. This is my personal collection. I will never sell this collection. I will never get rid of it or anything like that. It's my most favorite of favorite tube mods out there. And that's it. That's all I got to say. So from me to YouTube, peace out. Like, comment, and subscribe to these videos. I'm probably going to get a lot of thumbs downs based on the Amerivape products and the Avid Life products. Because, you know, people either love them or hate them. But that's kind of like me. This channel. You either love me or you hate me. That's it. So from me to YouTube, peace out. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm out. Laters.